All right, Viv. Here you go. You're right here next to me, so I won't spend too much time going over these if we've already talked about them. But here is a similar one to the one we talked about with the 2. Notice that there are 40 cards that are not face cards. We talked about that. Ace is not a face card. How many aces are there? There are 4. 4 out of 40 is 1/10, which is 0.1. They tell you to round to 2 decimal places, which is dumb, so they add a 0 to it. If you put 0.1 and it marked it wrong, I'd give it to you, obviously. Okay, now this is the hardest question on the test. This is called conditional probability. You learned about it in section 11.5. The rule is this. If the probability of A given B happens, so if let's say B happened, or you know that B happened, and that has an effect on the probability of A, then A is conditional. So like, what's the probability that someone in here plays sports? It might be something. Well, if someone in here is a freshman, what's the probability they play sports? Well, that might change, because more people quit sports as you go. Does that make sense? So, and the way you do this is you do the probability of A and B over the probability of B. So up until this point, I love this question. This is a very important little thing to grasp. But what I hate is the way that this question is worded. It's saying, what is the probability that a person has a pet? So that's has. Given that the person, that's what goes over here, has had. And that can't be much more confusing than that, okay? So over here we need to find, was there somewhere they told us the probability that someone has had a pet and has a pet? That's this. And then on the bottom should be B. Well, B is has had. Well, has had changed to have had because of the way the English language works. So that's 0.83 on the bottom.
Is that a 0.37?
Yes. And I'll tell you that this one is unnecessary and that is unnecessary, which is another thing that makes this question hard. Okay? And so the answer is just 0.37 divided by 0.8 is 0.45. That's it. That's the answer. Okay? It's just hard to get through all the wording. Question 3. Determine whether the strategy results in a fair decision. There's 24, 5. She wants to choose 5. She writes each student's name on a piece of the slipper. I mean, that seems pretty fair to me. I mean, you picked the one that seemed mathy. Next time, read them. Read them. You picked the one with the math in it. A pet store has 13 puppies, okay? Now, all you need to know from reading all this... Okay, so you guessed the probability that someone gets a puppy. Gets the... Well, I don't know where you got 2. You subtracted it out. What's the probability that you win a coin toss, me versus you? 50-50. Do you know the probability that you win 2 in a row? It's 25%. Because there's 4 scenarios. You win 2 in a row. I win 2 in a row. You win the first one, I win the second one, or you win the second one and I win the first one. Okay? So what I'm telling you is that probability, when you have to do it more than once, gets harder. And so the and makes you multiply. And is multiply or is add. So, what is the probability that Rebecca, what does she want to get? Gets a poodle? Well, there's 5 poodles out of 13 puppies, right? Now, typically, this question is asked where Aaron comes in and he wants a poodle. Well, now it would be 4 over 12, but that's not the case in this scenario. This puppy factory is going to magically just reproduce a poodle instantly. So now, Aaron has the same probability as Rebecca of selecting a poodle. And means multiply. So the answer is 25 over 169 is what 13 times 13 is. And when you pop that in your calculator, you get 0.148. Okay? Does that make sense? Find a weighted mean. Okay, this is really important for you to do because this is how most of your classes work. You were just a little bit off. For here, you go 0.3 times the lab report average, 0.3 times 82. No, he's in class. Plus, if you want to go talk to him, just go down to class. 0.1 times 93.
And where did you get?
That's 10. That's 10% and 30%. Plus 25% of it is from the midterm, and plus 35% of it is from the final. Okay? Pop that in your calculator. It'll give you this. You must have been close, but I bet you added them and divided by 4. So that's what would be the case if all of them counted for the same amount. But that's not how most grade books work. So this is actually a good skill for you to know how to do. Also how your GPA is calculated. Whoops. Oh, come on. Get it together. Oh, this is fun.
For those ones, I just add them together and then...
Yep, that's it, because they're mutually exclusive. Think about this as like, what's the probability that I toss a head or a tail? 100%. I can't toss anything else. Okay? So, the probability of C is 3/11. It won't always be 100%. Like, if there were another option, like, so, if there were another option, then you literally just add them. Or is add. And is multiply. What's that?
Clearly I haven't been doing it right, but like I know what to do though.
Yeah, you just do 3/11 plus 8/11.
And then simplify it?
Yeah.
You can't.
That's 11/11.
How did I get that answer?
Which is just 1.
Maybe I added them and then divided.
Yeah, I bet you did do... No, because that'd be 11. It would be 0.5. I don't know how you got it.
I don't know either. Multiply?
Okay, here I think you know how to do this now.
Yes.
Right?
Can I borrow the calculator today?
Of course you can borrow the
Wait,
calculator.
actually, never mind. Variance is its square.
Same thing. You're going to just make a new list for these. Variance.
So the top one's on one and then the bottom one's on another.
No, this is all
That's all one.
all one list.
Okay. I think that's where I got it wrong on the first one because I put them as two separate things.
Now this is 2 different lists. This is the one we were doing together. This is, we talked about this one. This is a hard question. Got this one? Now,
I swear I got that one right.
oh, you just rounded it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If that happens again, I might be nice and just give it to you, Vivian. But please don't. Now this one, here's what they're telling you on this one. When it says frequency, that means there were 4 people that got a 12. So you're going to have to make a list that looks like this. 12, 12, 12, 12, 13, 13. I mean, you don't have to. You could get it wrong.
But
it's a pain in the ass. Okay? This is where you get to choose your level of mastery. If you kick butt on the rest of it, you could just get that one wrong, get your 90 and move on.
So after I write them all down, then what do I do?
Then you're going to put them in to your list. Yeah, and it'll calculate all of it. It'll calculate the mean. It'll calculate the median. The mode we can do right now. Look, the mode is right there. So you should have at least got the mode right. Right, the mode is the one that happens most.
I put 7 and 14.
You were reading it backwards. I bet you thought there was 17 instances of 7, instead of saying there are 14 instances of it happening when you're 14.
Oh, okay. So then also, when I'm doing a list, so it's just going to be one column?
Yeah, one really long column. So it won't be that long to type it in. But yeah, those are your options. Boom!